Hello everybody, PokeKid here, and today I am here to do a kind of like a what to play for Philadelphia Regionals. So if you see me glancing down over here, I'm looking at some notes I have and stuff. So first of all, I'm going to be going over the top 8 decks in Masters, Seniors, and Juniors from Arizona Regionals, which was the last big tournament in Expanded, because Florida was Standard. So, in Masters, Greninja did get the top 3 spots, so I could say that is pretty interesting, and I'm not sure if a ton of people expected a ton of Greninja, but it was a pretty good play, obviously. And then in Seniors, you've got, so there are 4 Maxies in the top cut. That's a lot. And then there's 1 Night March and 1 Wailord and 1 Donphan, which are not actually that popular plays. I mean, not as much now. And then in Juniors, so you got 2 Rainbow Roads and 2 Raikou Eels in there, but a pretty wide variation. So overall, some of the more interesting are the 2 Donphans that made cut in Seniors and Juniors, the Excelgor and the Sableye Garb, and the Groudon. The Excelgor I'm not so surprised about. Someone was bound to play it and get kind of lucky and just get cut. So, except the Donphan, because Donphan gets ruined by Trev and has a pretty bad match against Yveltal too. And as you can see in Seniors, Donphan got 2nd place, and while there were 4 Maxies in cut. Wow, I'm not sure if he even played a dark deck, but I mean, even a Donphan making cut is really good. And then there was also the Groudon deck that got 5th place in Masters, and Groudon was really under the radar. I mean, and then you've got Raikou Eels, Gallade, and that's kind of, people have been talking about it on and off, and I think it's actually a fairly good deck. And then you got the Sableye Garb, which, I mean, I'm not sure if really anyone expected Sableye Garb to make a comeback with all size bats and stuff, and there was a size bats in cut for Masters. So, yeah, except the main winner of this show is Greninja. 3 Greninja made cut in Masters, including 1 winning Arizona. Now that is crazy. I mean, so I wrote down some of the matchups for some of the more under the radar decks. And the first one that now, because Karen is legal, is actually not a dreadful play, and that is Mega Manectric, and you would be playing it with Garbodor. Its bad matchups would be Wailord, because you don't one-shot them, and it's just not going to be fun. Groudon, because of weakness, they're just going to roll ahead of you and go. You got Donphan, because hitting for weakness, and just kind of the trade back and forth isn't good, and they have resistance, so you're not one-shotting them. Yeah. Rainbow Road, they get ahead of you. Garb helps, but still not that great of a matchup. And then you got any deck with Gallade, so that means Maxies or Raikou Eels Gallade. Gallade one-shots Mega Manectric, and it's just a real pain. So then the good matchups are Mega Ray, weakness, obviously. Greninja, because you go fast, and you hit them for 110, 110, 110, 110, 110, and it's a good matchup. Yveltal, without Gallade, obviously, because of weakness. Then you got Raikou Eels, And then Speed Dark, which is kind of a in the middle matchup. And then the next deck is Rainbow Road. So its bad matchups are Speed Ray and Raikou Eels. Raikou Eels mainly because they only need 3 energy, and then 3 energy and a Fighting Fury Belt, and then they're one-shotting your Xerneas if it doesn't have a Fighting Fury Belt. And if you get Fighting Fury Belts, then it's a lot harder for them. And it's also trading 1-for-1 prize cards, and they're just ahead of them with ahead of you with the eels. Good matchups, Greninja because it goes fast. Size Bats because you one-shot their toads. Groudon because you go fast, and you'll probably, once they get Groudon out, you'll one-shot it with Xerneas. Speed Dark, and then Maxie's Yveltal because of the Fighting Fury Belts. And then you got Raikou Eels, which isn't as much under the radar as the other two. And then bad matchups, Maxie's Yveltal, obviously, because you got Gallade, Donphan, Greninja, and then Groudon. And Donphan hits for weakness, retreats back. Greninja, because it can snipe your eels, and it's not fun. And then Groudon, because once they get Groudon out, it goes death, destruction. Yeah. Good matchups, Trevenant, Yveltal, and Speed Ray. Trevenant, Rough-Seas. Yveltal, you hit for weakness, and that's without the Maxies stuff. And then Speed Ray, because you're hitting for weakness. And then 2 other kind of under the radar decks. And remember, this is for expanded. You got Volcanion, and that means you run Blacksmith. You don't run Entei, it's just Volcanion. But you run Blacksmith, and it's just really consistent. And yeah, and then Greninja, which really actually isn't under the radar anymore. I don't know why I wrote that down. But it's still a deck to think about. And now that it's won Arizona Regionals, I think there's going to be a lot of people countering it for Philadelphia. So I'm not actually sure if it's a good play. And now I'm going to show you one deck that I actually think might be a half-decent play for Philadelphia. So let's run right over to PTCGO for me to show you the deck. Oh, here you go. You run 1 Shaman for draw support, and your main attacker, a 3/3 line of Mega Manectric. It has the attack for 1 lightning and 1 colorless, Turbo Bolt for 110 damage. Attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. And basically your strategy, you'll be using this to power up benched Mega Manectrics, and you'll just cycle and Rough-Seas and heal, and it's really frustrating to play against. You run 1 Hoopa, and then you run a 3/2 line of Garbodor to shut down your opponent's abilities. And then you run 4 Wobbuffet, and this is actually, as odd as it may seem, it's a backup attacker. Because if you look at the list, you see, wait, why do you run 3 Psychic? No, it's not to use Hyperspace Fury. And of course it's not to use Acid Spray or Offensive Bomb. It's so that you can use Psychic Assault. And you run 4 of these also because if you start and buy Barricade, shuts off Shaman, and it can really mess up your opponent's first turn. Now we're getting kind of into consistency cards. 3 Acrobike, 1 Computer Search, 3 Trainer's Mail, 4 Ultra Ball, and 4 VS Seeker. And this is the card that actually makes this whole deck good. Karen. 2 main issues with this deck. It loses to Night March, it loses to Vespiquen. Karen, shuts down both of those decks. And if someone decides to play Karen because they feel not a ton of people are going to be playing Karen, well, you run one in here just for safety. 1 Lysandre, 2 N, 1 Pokemon Center Lady to help with the whole healing thing. Let me just grab Pokemon Center. There you go. Wham. 1 Pokemon Center Lady to help heal your guys, and it helps against Excelgor too. 4 Sycamore. 3 Rough-Seas, also part of that whole healing routine. 4 Floatstone, and that could go down to 3, but 4 is good, just so you get the guaranteed Floatstones on either your Wobbuffet or your Garbodor. Why do I keep on doing that? And then you've got 3 Matrix Spirulink, 6 Lightning Energy, and I would like this to become 4, and then 3 Psychic. And I already told you guys why you're in Psychic, but why bother running Psychic at all? Well, you kind of need a backup attacker, because Mega Matrix sometimes just doesn't last you the whole entire game. So sometimes it's good to be able to rush into a non-EX guy and just stick him up there and deal quite a lot of damage actually with Psychic Assault, because if you have already Turbo Bolted, then you'll be doing 120 damage with that Wobbuffet. So that is the deck, and I hope you all enjoyed my kind of what to play for Philadelphia Regionals video, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!